Have you ever had a moment that turned into an aha moment? I certainly did. And 15 years ago, I had such a moment when colleagues brought to me the idea of incorporating emotional intelligence into our sales and sales leadership programs. Now, I didn't even know what the word emotional intelligence meant. However, when I started studying this body of work, I had the aha. This was the missing link in sales training. Because often, if you're like me as a former VP of sales or sales trainer, I taught the IQ of sales, the hard skills, the consultative skills. They're important. However, as you will learn, it's the EQ skills that help with the consistent execution of the hard skills. Let me give you a few examples. The discovery process. Now, you've done a good job of teaching your team those great questions. However, without training around impulse control, self-awareness, or empathy, your salesperson might get emotionally triggered when they hear a buying signal, a prospect sharing a pain point. Without empathy, they often miss the whole conversation, the nonverbal conversation where they miss that change in body language or tonality. The soft skills enhance the discovery process. How about that budget step? Now, you've taught your team to get at least a range of the budget before writing a proposal. However, when a prospect says something like, gosh, we have no idea, just put something together, or we're not comfortable sharing that with you. A salesperson can get emotionally triggered. And if they lack assertiveness, they go along to get along without stating what they need nicely. And what they need is to determine if you, Mr. Prospect or customer, are willing and able to invest in their services. Now, let's take a look at another selling stage, the decision process. Great programs out there teaching you how to navigate through complex decision-making process. Get the meetings with the economic buyer, user buyer, set up allies and sponsors. However, if your sales team lacks that inner confidence, we like to call it self-regard, or they have self-limiting belief systems rolling around in their head, like I don't belong in this room, I don't know enough, I don't have this big of an office or big of a title. That lack of confidence translates into lack of competence, and that's why deals get stalled or they die. So sales leaders, keep teaching the IQ skills. However, I encourage you to incorporate the EQ skills as well, because that way you equip your team with 100% of the skills that are needed to win in this very busy, ever-changing, competitive sales environment.